All right, so she's paying us to do some side work for us. These are essentially side quests in this game. But remember, tonight we're kind of focusing on the trials of a king, and the first trial that we have is
they got a lot of
varmints.
different stuff here, huh?
That's how it works.
So it's kind of confusing why you've got all of these hunters out here. Now, I want to kind of share something kind of that you might not have realized about this. So this is the kingdom of Insomnia here, or excuse me, the kingdom of Lucis. It covers all of this land over here, this continent, this middle section called Dusky, and then you've got Lead over here. And this is the capital of Insomnia. So our boys traveled from Insomnia all the way down here to Hammerhead, and they broke down somewhere around here after the blockade, and then they had to push it to Hammerhead. Now, this is important because the kingdom of Insomnia over here has a huge magic wall that protects it. It's a huge magic barrier that that the king channels the city's crystal for. Again, all of this is explained in Kingsglaive to like tedious detail, but essentially they are protected in Insomnia from outside invaders. The problem with that is this is the rest of their kingdom, and it is not protected from outside invaders. That's important because everyone that we see out here is essentially fending for themselves. So they don't have the guards that the kingdom has. They don't have the guardian wall outside the city of Insomnia. So when it comes to monsters or varmints or any sort of threats, they have these militias called hunters. And so Noctis is getting this experience of what it means to no longer be protected anymore. This is a really important trial for him because if he is ever going to become king, well, it's important that he knows what the everyday person goes through. So this just continues the trials of this king or Prince Noctis. So this one, there's a huge monster slash varmint, Bloodhorn, I think. It's like Bloodborne, but different. But on the inside, you can listen to all of these radio transmissions.
Why settle for anything less than the absolute best in comfort at the LaVille? Enjoy 5-star service and make your next getaway unforgettable. Call us to reserve your slice of paradise. Level up your life at the LaVille Hotel.
So this is kind of interesting because this is like a ritzy hotel that is being like advertised in this podunk kind of dusty town. Obviously, this is a place, you know, it's outside the main city, the metropolis. Noctis has never been in a place quite like this before. And so, also Noctis, why are we standing like that, bro? That is, who stands like that? He's got like the worst, weirdest over posture I've ever seen. But you listen to the things that are happening on the radio, and it's just kind of interesting to hear the...
Earlier, His Majesty King Regis addressed the kingdom on the matter of the peace treaty.
Some among you may regard the terms of this peace with apprehension. You may wonder if your king has forsaken his people, when it is for their very sake I have acted. The lands of Lead, the Sky, and Clain shall be ceded to imperial governance, granting us assurance that the people of these regions will be spared any further bloodshed on account of this war. Life will go on, and all will continue to know liberty and prosperity.
An appeal for understanding and support from His Majesty ahead of the signing ceremony. While there is no denying that the impending treaty has been met with a modicum of resistance in the Outlands, on the whole, the Lucian populace welcomes the coming peace.
Saw a Magitech trooper the other day.
So that's an actually pretty interesting side point. And it's totally missable. If you don't go through and you don't look at like everything on the walls in this game or listen to all of the radio broadcasts or overhear the conversations that people are happening, it's altogether possible you'll miss some of these tidbits. What we just heard was a report on what the negotiations of the treaty were. So there is the nation of Niflheim Niflheim, and there's the nation of Lucis. Niflheim and Lucis have been at war for a very long time. and Niflheim has proposed a treaty as long as Noctis and Luna Freya Nox Fleuret are wed. Now, you don't know Luna yet unless you've seen Kingsglaive, and we're about to meet her in just a little bit, I guess, through some flashbacks. But it's really important to note that these two, having this wedding, is going to unite these kingdoms in a way that most people are not super excited about, because it essentially cedes power to the Empire. And so the people of Insomnia and the people of Lucis are they're hesitant to go into this. But King Regis, Noctis' dad, is basically making that decision. But he sent Noctis off to go meet Luna and to get married. So that's, just as a reminder, that's what we're doing here. So now we're on a quest called the Errand Prince. Let's talk to this guy real quick.
Hold on a sec, sir. I found an envelope addressed to Meldacio inside the package.
Meldacio? The Hunter HQ?
Yes, sir. The headhunter ought to be around here somewhere. Mind making one more delivery?
What do you say, Noct? Might as well while we're in the neighborhood.
So this is an actually pretty important side quest that I'm actually going to do for story reasons. But it is, again, completely missable. There was a big discussion on Twitter earlier today about how this game on day one, for a lot of people, felt incomplete. I am not of that opinion. I'm going to use the regalia. But what I would say is that the main story is absolutely like it's a bare bones skeleton of a story. When Square Enix made this game, they intended for it to be an open world game. And one of the issues that we run into with that is that, can I go do that? No, I guess I gotta walk. Okay, we're gonna go walk then. One of the issues that we run into with, there we go. Now we got it. So I guess we're gonna find Dave. One of the issues that we run into with an open world game is that it's immersive storytelling. So as much as you do in the game, it's kind of building out the whole story. This is a side quest that really shouldn't be missed, I don't think. And so we're going to go up to this guy, Dave, the same guy that we saved earlier. Clunky at times, sloppy in its final act. I'll agree with that, but it was a complete experience, yeah.
Well, look who it is. I really owe you boys one.
Yes, Dave. Here is the envelope.
Make that two.
Can't seem to catch a break. Yeah, looks like they found another one.
Wait, found another what?
Tag. Us hunters keep them on our person at all times as identification.
What? In case you forget who you are?
More like so no one else forgets who they were.
Hunters lead a life of danger. Sometimes these tags are the only things that make it back in one piece. It's our job to deliver them to the families of the fallen. As it were, I came out here to do just that. If y'all happen to find any tags lying around out there, would you do me a favor and send them my way?
Yeah, sure.
Word is somebody spotted a tag around these parts. Try asking the local tipster. He'll point you in the right direction.
Thank you, sir. This is a cool side quest because you meet Dave the hunter, and he's like, okay, so one of the things that we hunters do is we try
They
to
suffer carry
here we
emotional
go.
weight. We'd best find and return them.
And give the families peace of mind.
Let's start by following up on that hot tip.
So it's all about giving the families peace of mind. That's why the hunters hunt down these dog tags of fallen hunters. And so they give the families these dog tags as kind of, a commemorative memorial reminder of them. It's important for Noctis to do this because he's never been outside the city. He doesn't know how people suffer on behalf of his father's decisions, which I think is a really cool sort of storytelling thing.
Found one already, huh? You done good.
Just picking up the pieces, I guess.
Well, try to keep your spirits up. Even though I ain't one to talk, I beat myself up over the lives of the hunters I couldn't save. That's what each one of these tags means to me. They hurt. But if I let that grief keep me from looking for them, then their tags and their lives will be forgotten forever. And that'd hurt more than anything.
Yeah, guess you're right.
Well, that's why I tell all my hunters to collect any tag they see, and I expect you boys to go out and do the same.
Right. So again, this is a great example of the trials of a king, going to learn what your people are going through. And that's why I love that particular side quest, because Noctis has to go and come to terms with people in his nation, or his father's nation, because of his father's decision, because of that wall that does not protect the entire nation, but only the people of Insomnia. They're suffering. And so some of the people outside the city aren't really upset about the treaty. They're wanting somebody to take care of them because their own king has really not been.
For our next story, Lady Lunafreya of Tenebrae has issued an official statement regarding the forthcoming treaty.
Words cannot express the joy in my heart on receiving word of this coming peace, nor the pride I take in my betrothal, playing a part in this historic moment. On this joyous occasion, some have voiced cause for concern. The fear I will be unable to fulfill my duties as Oracle. Please rest assured, my marriage will not stand in the way of my calling. You will find me in your towns and villages, as you always have, and I shall continue to bless you all.
Lady Lunafreya will set forth from Tenebrae for her wedding ceremony.
That
in the coming
little
days.
kind of throwaway
Be
radio
advised
broadcast
that
is
during
one
this
of the
time
most
alone, her
important
duties as
parts of
Oracle will
this
be
section of the
suspended.
game.
It's in the treaty?
Of course. Simple formality.
One of those symbol of the peace deals.
So it's more like a marriage of convenience.
Her ladyship seems nevertheless amenable to the prospect.
And Noctis likes the idea.
Hey! I see the sea!
I see it too.
That's Golden Key.
Kinda wanna go for a dip.
That a big mountain behind it?
No,
The
it's an island.
beach.
Nobody goes to Galden for an island, though. They go to kick back and get massages.
And savor the seafood.
That's
It's
true.
famously delicious.
Sounds great.
Something to look forward to.
So, what we just heard in the car was that Lunafreya is alleviating some concerns that she's going to be too busy, especially working with Noctis, or excuse me, being married to Noctis. One of the things is that, like I said earlier, Noctis has never been outside of the city walls of Insomnia. So, one of the collateral damages of that is that as the prince, he's really been away from the public eye for the most part. The issue with that is that he's never been seen as a ruler. He's never been seen as somebody of authority and power. So with Luna, who apparently the people love, marrying Noctis, they're afraid that she's going to be, quote, as worthless as Noctis
Ready to
is.
set sail.
So
Just gotta
anyway,
find my
just an
sea legs
important
first.
side piece. So tonight we have done a heck of a lot. Noctis and the rest of the party have left Insomnia. They broke down on the side of the road. They pushed their car to Hammerhead. They met Cindy. Cindy had them run some errands where Noctis kind of became the, quote, Errand Prince. These errands, by the way, were really, what we started the stream talking about. They are trials. They're side quests, but they're also trials of this king, and that is such an important piece. So our Ascension story, again, for everybody from King David to other Mesopotamian, Middle, Ancient, Near Eastern kings, all the way to Noctis, and really any sort of kingship narrative, has 4 parts. And it's the trials of a king, the relationships of a king, the responsibility of a king, and finally the order that a king delivers to chaos around him or her. So tonight we really focused on the trials. Some of these trials felt really mundane. And that's a really important thing, because this king, or this prince, king to be, has never known anything beyond royalty. And so leaving the city of Insomnia, leaving the protection of the walled city, was incredibly important for him. Now, I want you, if you're in my class, I want you to think about some of the Old Testament stories. When we learned about how Moses and the Israelites left the, quote, safety, even though it was slavery, the safety of Egypt. And they experienced the wilderness life. I want you to think about the stories of Joshua and the Israelites as they went into these new places. They conquered kingdoms and things like that, but they began to discover how other people lived. And then finally, I want you to think about how David, especially like King Saul, King David, and King Solomon, they began to face various trials based on just their own lives. With King Saul, he faced donkeys, right? His father lost donkeys and he had to go and find them. For David, he was a shepherd. He was also an instrumentalist, a musician, playing the lyre and the harp for King Saul at times. He was a shepherd, and he had to do a lot of protecting and sort of menial activity during his days. And this was before he ever met Samuel the prophet or any of that stuff. Kings of extraordinary endings have humble beginnings that cause them to reflect and rise to the occasion. And this is what Chapter 1 is all about. Chapter 1 of this game is about showing Noctis a world beyond the castle walls so that he gets in touch with the people that he may one day be called to serve as king. This is an integral part of the Ascension story, and it's as important for Noctis as it was for David, as it was for Saul, as it was for Joshua, as it was for Moses.